Hi, this is Brent with Studio One Expert, and in this final video of this free 4-part series with Waves, I'm going to be showing you how you can use the Waves Ovox in a bit of an unconventional way. And by that, I mean I'm not using this on a vocal channel, I'm actually using it on an instrument channel. Now, this is something that people don't usually associate with vocalizers and vocal synths, is you can actually use them on instruments and use it to enhance things about that instrument. So I'm using it on a Model D here, and I just want to play the track before and then I'll play you with it in. So without, here is the Moog. And now let's enable Ovox and let's have a listen to what it's doing. So a pretty dramatic change, and that's been a little bit of a theme throughout this free series, is using the plugins in less of a moderate way and more of a creativity tone shaping way to completely change the sound of presets, virtual instruments, etc. You can do a lot with these plugins if you really push them hard. So let's pull up Ovox and have a look at what it's doing. So I'm using quite a lot of the plugin actually, and there's not much sound of the original source left over, to be honest. One thing that was my main concern was if this was going to be too much, but the nice thing is you can dial in how much of each Ovox parameter you want to have in. You can also control the level of the effects, the mix of it, all from within this plugin. So if you actually look at my channel strip, the only thing on this entire sound is Ovox. So I have Ovox 1 and Ovox 2 engaged, and to be honest, they're really not doing much. I'm pushing the harmonic content, and other than that, I've got the formant driven on both, and I've picked my key and the scale so that we don't have any sort of strange auto-tune snap issues. But apart from that, these aren't doing a great deal. I have repositioned this XY pad towards the bottom here, which gets me more of the low-end focus, whereas if it's up here, it starts to get a bit nasal for this setting. The main reason that I wanted to use Ovox was actually for the effects panel. I wanted to use the chorus to really widen the stereo image of this Moog. And again, a bit like the Modo bass, there's not a ton of low-end information on this. A lot of that is coming from the sub, and the most of the high mids and the high end is coming actually on the Modo bass, and this Moog is sort of controlling the upper mids as well. So I wanted to spread a lot of the stereo information on this, and I've done that with this chorus. I've also seriously squashed it with distortion, as I'm sure you heard, and then I've put a limiter at the end because it meant that I didn't have to have another insert on my channel. So it's a really nice way of conserving your CPU power as well. So let's have a look at the difference that these effects plugins make, because these are actually what's happening the most on this sound. So let's have a listen. So the chorus is probably doing the most significant thing alongside with the distortion here. There's a huge change in the way that this spreads, and obviously the bass is the main focus on this track. So making it wider was really nice because we already have a lot of center information with stuff like the sub, the R bass we put on that, and even the Modo bass is quite centered. There's not a ton of stereo width on it, even though we put on the delay and the ambience. I wanted to use the Model D to be the final way to really, really spread this information out. So the chorus is what's doing that. Now let's have a look at the distortion. So the distortion is a bit of a more taste thing, but I just wanted to drive the signal a bit and see what happened, and I ended up liking how it sounded. You can change the order of these as well, so you could put the distortion beforehand, but distortion after the chorus was a nice way to actually drive the chorus post, and then the limiter afterwards just make sure that everything is nicely tamed. So if we adjust this color knob, it's sort of like a tone control as well. And again, it's just a nice way of housing everything in one plugin. So let's have a listen to how these two can control the sound of that distortion, along with some of the presets that we have here. So I've gone for squashed, and then let's have a listen to this. So the color there, when you exaggerate, it starts to get a little bit nasal. So I didn't want to go all the way with it, but down here, I still feel like the sound's a bit flat. So it helps bring out those upper harmonics. And then I've got the drive backed off a little bit, and the mix is quite far back, but the chorus mix is really high up. So it just depends which element and which creative sound you want to bring out the most in this track. So Ovox is not just a tool for vocals. It sounds great on stuff like bass, even drums. There is a lot you can do with this plugin beyond just resynthesizing vocal material. So I hope that you found this video useful. I hope you enjoyed the series, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos.